Hi, I'm Martha McNeill, and I'm co-chair with Leslie Dollard of Fairport UMC's Reopening Task Force. On behalf of Pastor Rochelle and the 16 of us who are on the task force, I send you greetings this day. At the end of August, we asked for your support in our work by completing a survey. We're grateful to the 148 of you who responded, more than 82% of whom have been attending FUMC for 10 years or more. We appreciate your patience with us on the task force as we work to find a workable time to review the results together, which we did this past Wednesday, September the 23rd. We will be posting pertinent results at the church website soon, but we wanted to give you a brief summary. Of the 148 who responded, almost 42% are aged 50 to 69 years. Almost 36% are 70 or older. Nearly 107 of those who responded report having one or more of the risk factors that make them especially vulnerable to COVID-19. The most frequently mentioned was being older than 64. Being older than 64 is also associated with a greater incidence of death from COVID-19. When it comes to interest in returning to the church building for on-site worship, prayer, communion, or meetings, about 26%, or about 38, would be interested in returning to a Sunday morning service, agreeable with all the required protocols. About 25% plan to continue to worship online for the foreseeable future. Another 25% are uncertain about their preference. The remaining 25% want to see how, for example, community transmission is affected by the reopening of public schools, or will wait until all restrictions are lifted, or a vaccine is widely available, among other things. Fewer than 17%, or about 25, expressed interest in returning for a midweek prayer service or to a midweek or Sunday morning communion service. More than 33% expressed interest in attending meetings or other gatherings other than worship on site, understanding that there would be restrictions. Fewer than 7%, or about 10 people, volunteered to be trained to be ushers at a service in the sanctuary. But about 25% of respondents, or about 36 people, said that they would volunteer to be trained to clean and disinfect meeting spaces. However, only about 11 people completed the volunteer form we had provided a link to. Now, I would say we also had suggested that people could notify the church office of their interest, and I don't know whether anyone did that or not. I have not heard that that was the case. The majority of those who did fill out the volunteer form are among the more vulnerable, and that's because more of them are older than age 64. Many comments we received were helpful in alerting us to some special needs, for example, of those in healthcare professions, as well as those who have returned to work sites. People in such situations need to limit their exposure to others outside of their work sites and their households. We heard from parents of young children that with nursery closed for now and/or their desire to protect their children from additional exposures, only one parent might be able to attend a church service on a Sunday morning while the other remains home to care for the children. Some who will continue to worship online will do so because of their current or chronic healthcare challenges. Most comments were supportive of and confident in the caution and care that FUMC is taking with regard to reopening. For those, we are grateful. Some objected, including some on our own task force, to the prospect of using a reservation system for attendance at a church service. You might wonder why we would need such a system, especially if only about 38 people are interested in coming to a Sunday service at church. I want to pause here to remind everyone of information we had provided in the past that our pastor and music director had carefully measured the sanctuary space to determine what the number of people we could accommodate in the sanctuary keeping them safe. That is a minimum of 6 feet of distance all around from others of different households. And the determination was that about 46 to 50 people, and then in addition to that, you would have the worship leaders. So given that about 38 people have said that they would be interested in returning to a Sunday service, why would we still use a reservation system? We're committed to doing what we can to assist in the task of contact tracing. You might be aware of the recent news out of Chemung County about a church there that was a locus for a COVID-19 outbreak that extended into neighboring counties. One of the challenges for the health departments in those counties is that that church has not been able to provide adequate information to assist in contact tracing. A reservation system to alert us to who is planning to attend and to allow us to check in who does attend would help us assist our county health department should someone who was present at our church develop COVID-19. So how is the survey assisting us? As we plan to reopen, we are likely to focus on providing a Sunday morning option as opposed to a midweek prayer service option. We are likely to begin with a short service to test out our safety and hospitality protocols, which are still under development. We currently aren't capable of live streaming worship, although live streaming is under consideration. That will take time, financial resources, as well as volunteer commitment. In the meantime, do we want to have our staff pre-record a Sunday service for the majority of our members and conduct an in-person service for about the 25% of who would wish to attend in person? We also need to take account that our older members, who are more vulnerable, are also among those most interested in returning to the building, to worship, to usher, to clean, potentially increasing their own exposure. So those are just some of the questions that we are going to be grappling with in the weeks ahead. I also want to take time to update you about what our current situation is at FUMC. At our website, you can connect to the latest version of our COVID-19 response and reopening plan, where we have updated some elements of the current step we are in, which is step 2. The youth ministry team has held or proposed 3 different events with very well thought out safety plans. All have been outdoors per our current requirements. One was recently held in our church parking lot, where some youth had gathered to produce some lovely chalk art in the parking spaces that helped to beautify the drive-through blessing that we'd held for parents, children, school staff, as they began the new school year. We have updated our step 2 to show that we will consider proposals for outdoor events on site at church for children's ministry, youth ministry, and for adults. All require that a written plan with safety protocols be submitted to the pastor and the task force a minimum of 7 days in advance of the proposed dates. Please refer to the document on the website for guidance and contact us for details. We hope to have a basic template available soon to guide planning. We encourage adults from our church who may be members of small groups, for example, to choose virtual options for meeting whenever possible. That is still the safest route to take. However, we understand that adults may choose to meet in person at their own homes or in public spaces. We urge all those who do so to use the best practices for keeping themselves and others safe. Keep appropriate distance from those who are not part of your household, which is a minimum of 6 feet in all directions. Wear effective masks and wear them properly so that they cover the nose, mouth, and chin. Keep up with hand hygiene. Do not share food or drink. Clean and disinfect spaces that are frequently touched. If you gather together in a group, keep a log of who was present if you can think to do so. That can, again, be very helpful to our local health department officials for contact tracing. Our church building remains closed except for limited access by staff and key volunteer leaders. Our custodian and our trustees continue to clean and maintain our church property while it remains mostly unused. This is vital as we plan so that we can return to a building that is both safe and welcoming. Still, FUMC remains a vital community serving our congregation, our region, and beyond. Our pastor and music director continue to provide virtual options for worship. Staff and volunteers provide similar options for study and church meetings. Our children's and youth ministries staff and volunteers continue to nurture virtually as well as in appropriately safe outdoor options the next generation's relationships with God. Our church continues to engage in outreach, providing necessary items to places such as St. Joseph's House of Hospitality, gleaning to provide fresh food for the hungry, engaging in community discussion about racism, housing development, community planning, and other current issues. Whether we are together virtually or safely in person, we remain a spirit-filled, Christ-centered community committed to doing our part to do no harm, to do good, to stay in love with God. If you have any questions or ideas for us, please don't be shy about bringing them to our attention. Thank you.